The time is voice o'clock. It's time for your daily news rundown. If the world were a stage, today it's less Shakespearean drama and more high-octane thriller, with a dash of reality show chaos and a few surprise dance numbers. Welcome to your all-access pass to planet Earth's latest plot twists, where missiles fly, yachts rise from watery graves, and geopolitics tango with TikTok. This is your front row seat to the global roller coaster. We kick off with 3 blockbuster stories that sound like deleted scenes from an action movie. Think B-2 bombers over Iran, worldwide protests loud enough to shake parliaments, and Netanyahu and Trump in a security huddle that probably needed snacks and seatbelts. From there, we globe hop through wild weather in the UK, unsettling rock slides in Canada, and a hot air balloon crash in Brazil that proves not all tourism goes sky high in a good way. So grab your metaphorical press pass and dive in, because today's headlines aren't just news. They're plot points in humanity's never-ending, always unpredictable saga. Top 3 must-know stories. U.S. strikes Iranian nuclear sites in major escalation. The world woke up to news of a dramatic turn in the Middle East. The United States, under President Donald Trump, launched coordinated airstrikes on 3 major Iranian nuclear facilities, Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan, using B-2 bombers and submarine-fired cruise missiles. Trump declared the operation a success, with the Pentagon touting it as a show of force to curb Iran's nuclear ambitions. While U.S. officials claim the strikes hit their targets with precision, Iran's health ministry reports at least 430 fatalities and thousands injured in the past 9 days of conflict, including from Israeli strikes. Hamas condemned the U.S. action as a dangerous escalation and violation of international law, while European leaders, including France's Macron, called for urgent diplomatic efforts to prevent further escalation and insisted Iran must never acquire nuclear weapons. Saudi Arabia's nuclear regulator reported no radiation detected in Gulf states after the strikes. Global protests erupt over Israel-Iran conflict. As missiles flew, so did tempers and banners. Massive protests swept across European capitals. Over 10,000 rallied in Berlin for Gaza, while London saw pro-Palestine demonstrators urging the UK to halt arms exports to Israel. In Stockholm and cities across the Middle East, crowds demanded an end to violence and voiced support for Iran. Meanwhile, in Berlin, a counter-protest called for the ousting of Iran's leadership. The demonstrations highlight deep divisions in public opinion, with Western governments largely backing Israel and the U.S., while activists and some political leaders call for restraint and humanitarian relief. Netanyahu, Trump hold marathon security talks as war cabinet meets. As U.S. bombers flew over Iran, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu huddled with his top security officials in a tense 5-hour session, tracking the U.S. operation and strategizing Israel's next moves. The meeting included Israel's defense and foreign ministers, military chief, and Mossad director. President Trump, meanwhile, issued a stark warning to Iran. Any retaliation will be met with far greater force, underscoring the high stakes and unpredictability of the current crisis. Analysts warn the region stands at the brink, with both sides vowing not to back down. Other major stories. Canada celebrates Indigenous Peoples Day with festivals and digital outreach. Across Canada, Indigenous Peoples Day was marked with vibrant festivals, cultural showcases, and a growing digital presence. Young Indigenous creators are using platforms like TikTok to share stories, history, and art, reaching millions and fostering a new generation of cultural pride and awareness. UK's sunken superyacht raised after 10 months. In a feat of marine engineering, the sunken superyacht of late UK millionaire Mike Lynch was finally raised to the surface after nearly a year underwater. The operation, closely followed by British media, brings closure to a saga that had gripped maritime enthusiasts and the business elite alike. Putin claims, "The whole of Ukraine is ours," hints at further offensives. Russian President Vladimir Putin, in a provocative speech, declared that the whole of Ukraine is ours in theory, and hinted at plans to capture the city of Sumy. The comments, widely condemned in the West, come as fighting intensifies in eastern Ukraine and diplomatic efforts stall. UK sends RAF support to Middle East. As tensions escalate, the UK government announced deployment of additional RAF aircraft to the region for surveillance and auxiliary missions. This move reinforces the UK's strategic posture amid NATO consultations ahead of the Hague summit. Domestically, the Met Office confirmed 30,000 lightning strikes and set a yellow thunderstorm warning after a record 33.2 degrees C heat in southern England Nigerian restaurant suicide bombing. In Borno State, Nigeria, a suicide bomber targeted a restaurant, killing at least 10 and injuring over a dozen. The attack exacerbates long-standing concerns over regional insurgency and civilian safety. EU-Iran nuclear talks stall as tensions rise. Efforts by European diplomats to revive nuclear negotiations with Iran have hit a wall, with no breakthrough reported after emergency talks. Iran's president told France's Macron that nuclear work would continue under any circumstances, raising fears of an accelerated arms race in the region. Banff National Park rock slide kills 2, sparks rescue efforts. Tragedy struck Canada's Banff National Park as a rock slide claimed 2 lives and triggered a large-scale search and rescue operation. Park authorities are investigating the cause, while tourists and locals mourn the loss. High-profile Palestinian activist freed from U.S. detention. Mahmoud Khalil, a prominent Palestinian activist and former Columbia University graduate, was released from U.S. federal immigration custody after 3 months. His arrest had become a rallying point for campus protesters opposing U.S. policy on Gaza. Canada retaliates against U.S. steel and aluminum tariffs. In a tit-for-tat move, Canada announced new retaliatory measures against U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum, escalating a trade dispute that could impact North American manufacturing and jobs. Severe rainfall hits southern Alberta, Canada. Southern Alberta experienced nearly a month's worth of rain in just 24 hours, causing localized flooding and travel disruptions. Authorities are monitoring river levels and urging residents to stay alert. Hamas condemns U.S. strikes, vows retribution. Hamas, closely allied with Iran, condemned the U.S. strikes as mindless adherence to Israeli objectives and a direct menace to global peace. The group pledged to hold the U.S. and Israel accountable for the escalation. No radiation detected in Gulf states after U.S. strikes. Saudi Arabia's nuclear authority reassured the region that no radioactive impacts were found in Gulf Arab states following the U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear sites, easing immediate fears of environmental fallout. Syrian leadership crackdown. Syrian authorities arrested Bashar al-Assad's cousin on drug trafficking charges, a rare example of intra-elite prosecution that may reflect broader internal political maneuvers. Hot air balloon disaster in Brazil. Tragedy struck in Brazil when a hot air balloon burst into flames and crashed in Santa Catarina, killing 8 and injuring 13, a stark reminder of safety regulations in tourism-heavy stateside. Asia marks. Diplomatic landmark Japan and South Korea commemorated 60 years of normalized relations. Even as old wounds and political uncertainties linger, a notable step in reinforcing regional security and unity. Belarus releases opposition figure. Belarusian authorities released detainee Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya's ally Serhei Tsikhanouski following a U.S. envoy visit to Minsk. It's been hailed as a small but meaningful political gesture in an increasingly autocratic state. What to watch today? NATO summit in The Hague, June 24, 25. Alliance leaders to discuss defense spending, EU tech trade, Iran-Israel conflict. Wikipedia.org. Vera Rubin Observatory, first light unveiling, June 23rd. Major astronomy moment with far-reaching implications for dark matter and cosmology. UK radio teleswitch service switch off. Long-wave signaling used by older meters ceases today, impacting energy billing systems. Oasis reunion tour launch. Cardiff, July 4th. Aug 9. While not today, anticipation builds in. UK music circles ahead of upcoming stadium gigs, major sports finals, the College World Series Finals Game 2 airs today alongside top-tier WNBA and international soccer matches, including the US versus Haiti and Mexico versus Costa Rica. Middle East diplomacy. Expect urgent diplomatic moves at the UN and in European capitals as leaders scramble to contain the Israel-Iran crisis. Economic reports. Key economic data releases in the US, EU, and China could sway global markets amid rising geopolitical uncertainty. Today in history. 1941. Nazi Germany invades the Soviet Union in Operation Barbarossa, changing the course of World War II. 350 years ago, the Royal Observatory at Greenwich opened its doors. Today it's marking its 350th anniversary, a fitting homage to science, even as nuclear tensions dominate headlines. International Year of Quantum Science and Tech. This UN-declared year gains momentum, apt timing with major observatory reveals and key funding battles happening right now. 1945. The Battle of Okinawa ends, marking one of the bloodiest conflicts in the Pacific Theater. 1969. The Cuyahoga River catches fire in Cleveland, sparking the modern environmental movement in the U.S. 2002. The African Union is founded in Durban, South Africa, aiming to promote unity and development across the continent. That's your whirlwind tour of the globe for June 22nd, 2025. Stay tuned, stay sharp, and remember, in a world this connected, today's headlines are tomorrow's history. For more interesting news and fun facts, visit voiceoclock.com.